The greatest sports car never to win Le Mans is Ferrari's 312 PB, not least because, failure in France notwithstanding, it was Ferrari's single most successful sports car design. Yet you could at least argue that success was the result of a mistake. Anyone who has watched the Steve McQueen Le Mans movie will know about the battle that raged throughout 1970s between the Porsche 917 and the Ferrari 512S. The Ferrari never beat the Porsche in a championship round, except at Sebring where, unusually, all the works 917s had reliability issues. Ferrari's mistake was not to pursue the project. Porsche had had a full year's head start in developing the 917, yet by the end of 1970 the 512S was transformed into the car it should have been from the start, the 512M, for modificado, duly trouncing the Porsches at the season finale, but non-championship, 9-hour race at Kyalami. But Ferrari knew these big-engine D cars would be banned from 1972 onwards, so chose instead to focus developing the 3-liter car the new regulations demanded. The result was to hand the 1971 season on a plate to Porsche. There were 11 rounds and Porsche won 8, Alfa Romeo the remainder. Ferrari was left scratching around for minor places on the podium. But what this did mean was that by 1972, it was Ferrari that now had the fully developed prototype and, because Porsche had marched off in a huff at the new rules, to vent its frustrations to the game-changing rules in the North American Can-Am series, its principal opponent was removed. The new car was called the 312 PB, not for Prototipo Boxer as some imagined, but as the evolved V specification of the previous season's 312P. Actually, in accordance with Ferrari nomenclature, it could well have been the 312 BP, though the lead sponsor, Shell, might have had a word or two to say about that. At the start of the 1972 season, even without the factory Porsches, the season was not expected to be a walkover. The Alphas that had outperformed the Ferraris in 1971 were still around. There was a brand new Mirage with former Gulf Porsche boss John Wyer at the helm, and a new Lola as well. But the 312 PB was a pearl of a machine, and it came powered by Ferrari's still new flat 12 Formula One engine which offered the kind of power of which the Auto Delta engineers, tending to the Alfa's elderly V8Es could only dream. Even in detuned long-distance specification, it gave 440 bhp at, by its standards, a very leisurely 10,600 revolutions per minute. Even in 1972, it was reliable to 12,500 RPM and F1 trim. Way beyond the reach of any competitor engine, including the Cosworth DFV. Each titanium conrod cost £1,000, which is around $13,000 today. And there were a dozen in each engine. Not only that, but Ferrari drew upon literally the finest talent pool in racing at the time, during 1972. The 312 PB would be raced by among others, Ronnie Peterson, Jackie Ickx, Brian Redman, Clay Regazzoni, Arturo Merzario and Indy 500 winner and future F1 world champion Mario Andretti. The result was total dominance, as Andretti once made clear, commenting on rival teams. They were just there. We never considered them opposition. The only competition was within the team. We gave team manager Peter Sketty gray hairs. The only pit boards he ever held out were slow and hold. We, of course, would never obey, so the 312 PB won every single place it went from Buenos Aires to Brands Hatch, from Daytona and Sebring to the Nürburgring and Targa Florio. Its dominance was such it made the Porsche 917's performance the previous season look positively patchy. And yet it did not win Le Mans, because it was not entered. Despite Ickx setting the fastest time at the test weekend in March, Enzo withdrew the entries to the race itself for two reasons. The publicly quoted one was concerns over the longevity over 24 hours of an engine designed for Formula One. If you're interested, Daytona had been reduced to a 6-hour format partly to ensure some of the 3-liter prototypes actually finished. Privately, Ferrari was also looking over his shoulder to the Matra team that was doing very well and did want to risk the reputation of the 312 PB, and did not enter Le Mans. So in the end, both Ferrari and Matra won every round they contended, the difference being that was 10 races for Ferrari and just 1 for Matra. The 312 PB was so good that, despite having made its debut during 1971, It raced on little changed into 1973. But not only had Matra made big strides, Ferrari had lost Peter Scetti, one of the most underrated team managers of all, and was facing financial cutbacks. That meant just 2 cars would be entered for most races, instead of the 3 that went to every round Ferrari contested in 1972. But the pickings were slim, with wins coming only at Monza and the Nürburgring as Matra took control of the series. Ironically, the 312 PB did race at Le Mans that year and for a long time looked like winning it until the car of Ickx and Redman retired in the final hour. Perhaps the most notable achievement that year was Jackie Ickx recording what will stand for all time as the fastest ever lap of the old Spa-Francorchamps, at a barely believable average speed of over 163 miles per hour in a 3-liter car 44 years ago. And, yes, that does include F1 cars.
Hello, fellow sim racers. This is Sim Racer, and thank you for watching episode 2 of Sim Racing Cars, as we're highlighting the Legends pack in Assetto Corsa. It, of course, is a mod that you can pick up for free. This is car number 2. We did the Chaparral first episode. And so we've got 7 more of these beauties to cover and give quick overviews of. And there you go. Hope you appreciate this. It's a lot of fun putting these things together. And it's always fun and reflective to look back on history of automobile racing. Hey, this is Sim Racer. As always, may all of your sim racing pursuits be enjoyable. And we will see you next time. And if you'd like to, appreciate it if you'd hit that subscribe button. Okay, we will see you. Bye-bye.
Well, zoom zoom. Go fast, or just crash trying. Thanks for watching.